Hey guys, how are you? I'm doing great. I woke up at about 5:30 this morning, which is a little bit on the early side for me, but not especially, to discover that I am very sick. This goon got sick at work, and since we are married and we have to share, he has decided to share his germs with me. So this will be a sick readathon, and when you combine being sick and a readathon, you get copious amounts of tea. So I have made a crock pot worth of tea, and I'm already about a third of the way through it, and the readathon, we're 2 minutes into it. So focus of this readathon is reading physical books, because I read all like digital and audiobooks for the last 3 readathons, and it has not been it's not been great. So first thing on the chopping block is The Enchanted April by Elizabeth von Arnim. I'm on chapter 9, and so I want to finish this, and then last night I was like, well then obviously readathon, good time to get started on the 900-page autobiography of Henry VIII with notes by his fool Will Summers by Margaret George. Now I'm wondering if I'm intelligent to get through this, but hopefully I can get started on this, make a bit of a chunk. And then I picked up some backup easy reading, just in case I got bored of my giant tome, or as it turns out, in case I am too sick to think. So I picked up the next 2 Tiffany Aching books. I have not read either of these. It's I Shall Wear Midnight, book 4, and The Shepherd's Crown, book 5, in the Tiffany Aching series, which is part of the Discworld series. And I haven't read these because I was doing, you guys remember 3 years ago when I was doing my Discworld series and I was reading through all of the books that I hadn't read yet. So I got to Wintersmith, which is book 3 of the Tiffany Aching series, and I was really disappointed by it. And I was also really disappointed by A Hatful of Sky, which I had read in high school and had fond memories of, but it was very disappointing the second time round. And that just kind of made me want to quit. So hopefully these 2 are better. And then emergency reading, if I not if I finish all of that, because I could not finish this book even if I spent the entire readathon working on it. Bard Book Club Play is Henry IV Part 2 for this month. I am pretty sure that I'm not intelligent enough to get any of this done. And then, of course, I have my audiobook, A Pair of Blue Eyes by Thomas Hardy. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. That and how crappy I feel. Let's go! Okay, so it's now a little after 5 o'clock for me, which means we've just started hour 4. I have read 56 pages, and I have 42 or so, 42 left to go, which means I should be finishing this up a little bit before 8. At the moment, I'm feeling pretty okay, just a little twinge of something wrong in the throat, but I'm feeling much less tired and muddled than I was earlier today. When I'm sick, I'm normally feel bad in the morning and bad in the evening, and in the middle of the day I'm reasonably functional. So by the time it gets to 8 o'clock, that functionality will probably have gone, which means I'll be starting with some middle grade fantasy as opposed to adult historical fiction. But one never knows, because we just switched to summertime here in Western Europe, and that means it's still kind of late at 8:30, 9 o'clock, which means my body doesn't start getting those signals to go to bed, so hopefully my sickness will not start getting those signals to get worse. So yeah, we'll see how I go. I'm currently accompanied by Studio Ghibli Emotional Melody Cello Collection with Calcifer, which is a collection of Studio Ghibli soundtracks, which is nice reading music. I'll leave a link in the description. See you guys in about 3 hours. Okay, it is now just gone 7, which means we are in hour 6, and I have now finished the Enchanted April, first book finished of the Readathon. I'm still feeling fairly lucid, so I'm gonna start with Henry VIII. I'm definitely gonna get through the prologue and first chapter, and then at that point I will probably switch over to I Shall Wear Midnight, and then probably am not gonna stay up too late, because sick and you gotta take care of your body and stuff. I'm currently listening to the Perfect Concentration playlist on Spotify, which I quite like. It's one of the ones created by Spotify. It does have Beethoven's Seventh and March of the Knights on there, whereas all of the other music is more sort of calm and peaceful, and it can be a little startling to just be pleasantly reading your book and then hear bum ba bum ba bum ba bum ba bum ba bum ba bum ba. But in any event, on to Henry. Okay, so it's now 8:30, which means we are in hour 7. I read the prologue and the first 2 chapters of Autobiography of Henry VIII, because I was able to skim the first half of chapter 2 because it was all just genealogies, and I do not need people to tell me about the sons of Edward III. I'm good on that ground. So far, I'm gonna rest this book against my shoulder because it's very heavy. I am bored by this book, but early days yet. I'm 28 pages into a 932 page book, so there's definitely time for the interesting stuff to start happening. But hopefully it actually does start to happen. I am now starting to fade a little bit, so I think I'm going to go make dinner, which is chicken noodle soup, the classic sick person's meal, and I'm gonna start I Shall Wear Midnight. It is currently chiming 12 noon, and my voice is back. That's good. We can resume in English. I took a wee bit of a nap around 10, but I have gotten to page 110 of I Shall Wear Midnight. So I've got 2 hours left. What I think I'm going to do with my final 2 hours of the readathon is get to the end of a chapter in I Shall Wear Midnight, and then I've been thinking more about Autobiography of Henry VIII. I think I'm going to spend the rest of the readathon giving this a chance, and then if it hasn't done anything to intrigue me by the end of, an hour and a half, then I will just DNF it. So that's my plan. Okay, it is now a little bit after 1 o'clock, which means technically we have 49 minutes left in the readathon. However, I've decided that I am done. Chapping out in hour 23 is a lot better than my previous 2 years worth of readathons where I was tapping out at like hour 10. So I'm pleased with that. I read 264 pages in total, 98 from Enchanted April, 44 from Autobiography of Henry VIII, and 122 from I Shall Wear Midnight. So that's definitely not a personal best, but for a sick readathon, when I'm just trying to get back into the swing of 24-hour readathons, I'm happy with it. Also, tea update, very important. So I made my crockpot tea yesterday, and then I didn't quite finish the entire crockpot worth, so I dumped it into a Tupperware and stuck it in the fridge, and then I figured this morning I would heat it up. Well, if you ever tried to do this, just so you know, I sweetened my tea with honey, and I think it has started to turn into mead. It's got a bit of a pungentness, which I find suspicious. So that's it. I'm done with the vlog. Bye.